before I get too involved in this video, I don't have a phone stand, so I'm going to try and do this single-handedly. I am no longer in Toledo, at least me personally. I've moved out of town for work, obviously out of college now, and ended up getting a job about 2 hours out of town. So because of that, I don't currently have a house. I'm just renting. And the biggest problem that I've had with that is I don't have a garage, so I can't really bring any of my cars with me. But I was able to bring one car with me, and that is this 1965 Cali Camino, which has an awesome backstory. And I was gonna film a video on this car, and I thought it was ironic that somebody actually commented on one of the previous videos and said, "Hey, I want to see a video of that El Camino." Well, here you go. So this is going to be a video kind of looking over this 65 El Camino, and like I said, as of right now, I'm in the middle of BFE nowhere, Ohio. So this is all I've got with me for this summer, but I do plan on bringing a different car with me every year, at least out of my personal collection. Obviously my dad has some cars of his, but I do have a few, I think including the Nova, which I think I posted that video. I also have a 53 MG, which is Grandpa's car, my CJ5 Jeep. So we'll see, what we bring down over the years, but this is the one that stayed for this year. So hopefully you guys enjoy. Make sure you leave a comment on any other cars you want to see in the collection when I get back to Toledo, and hope you guys enjoy. So while I'm in here, I'm going to try and give you guys the backstory on this car and how we came to find it. So if you guys remember, if you guys have been watching this channel for that long, which applause to you, I guess. But way back, I think it was like 2013 or 2014, my dad and I got a 65 El Camino as a project car. And if you guys remember, that thing was a lot rougher than we thought it was going to be. We ended up finding a lot of rust in the floor, and even in the dash around the windshield frame, it was all rusted out. And long story short, progress kind of stopped on it, and that was about the time that this thing showed up for sale. And it was on an auction, and the only problem was it was all the way out in California. But the thing that we didn't realize is that that was actually going to be a blessing in disguise, because what we came to find out was that the owner of the car out in California was actually its original owner. This gentleman out in California bought this car brand new when he was 16 years old, and it stayed with him ever since. And in the video, I'll go ahead and tell you guys a little bit more about it, but obviously just super, super cool story. This is one of those kind of cars where the story, in my opinion, is just as cool, if not cooler, than the car itself. So we ended up finding this thing, and when we started kind of putting offers in on it, what we ended up getting it for, it was going to be way less than what it was going to cost to rebuild the one that we had. And although we love building cars and everything like that, it just didn't make sense financially. And because of that, we ended up with this one. And honestly, I think it was a way better move, obviously financially, but also just because of this car and its story. And we obviously got to meet the family of the original owner, and given his age, they had to sell the car, and they were really, really happy to see who the car was going to. And I still keep in touch with the original owner's daughter to this day. We always text each other back and forth, and she always loves to hear what we're doing with the car. We've gone to any car shows with it, and that's really just cool, especially given that's the original owner. It's always cool to keep in touch with the previous owner of a car you get, but something like the original owner, that's something you really can't put a price on. So but yeah, this is gonna be a little walk around of the El Camino. So and once again, even though I'm here in the middle of BFB, Ohio, if you guys do see any other cars in the shop that you want to see some videos on, let me know, and I'll try and get some videos out for you. But as for now, I think that's gonna be it. I'm gonna go for a little cruise, shoot you guys a video, and we'll see you guys later. So before we get into the car itself, the backstory on this car is it came from a gentleman out in near LA, California, who bought the car brand new when he was 16. He bought it brand new, and when we met him to actually pick the car up, I asked him, what the reason was that he decided on the El Camino. And the first thing was that he lived out in LA, but he raced dirt bikes out in Arizona on the weekends. So he said, well, I wanted something I could put the dirt bike in the back, and be able to haul it down there. Of course, driving down Route 66 to go race the bike. And I said, well, what made you want this car in particular? And he said, I walked into the dealership in '65. That was on the showroom floor. Found a dealer, and I said, I want that. And it was as simple as that. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, this car, it stayed with the original owner until 2021 or 22 when we picked it up, and it was restored by that family. So we haven't really done much to it. I've done a few things mechanically just to, spiff it up a little bit or keep it, running good. But it's finished in the original color. Beautiful dark blue metallic, kind of see it. Of course, now I went to show you the sun went down. But yeah, we did some little things like, we replaced the grill. That was pretty beat up. Some little trim here and there. But another cool thing about the exterior of the car are these Fenton aluminum slotted wheels. And these are actually the same wheels that the original owner bought when he bought the car new. He got these shortly after, threw them on, and they've been on the car ever since. So these do need to get cleaned up. You can tell they're pretty no, they're not great. So thinking about pulling these off and polishing them up. My dad personally wants to see a set of Kragers on these. Now, I love Kragers, but I think the fact that these wheels have stayed on the car for as long as they have, I feel it'd almost be a sin to take them off. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. Should we leave the original Fenton wheels on it, or should we put a set of Kragers on? But once again, being a California car, it's completely rust-free. No Bondo or anything in it, just super straight car. Another thing we did to it is we threw this tonneau cover on. Can't remember who this came from. It might say on the inside of it. Nope, I don't see the tag on it, but really nice, like one piece, fold up little tonneau. Got a bunch of crap in the back from car show, so excuse that, but I did want to show you these hooks in the back here. And the reason I show you this is because these are the same hooks that he used to haul that bike back and forth to Arizona with. So he threw these in on the wheel wells, or on both sides, front and back, and that's what he used to strap down the bike. So pretty cool that those are still there. Really just a very honest car. All the trim's in great shape. Dual exhaust. It does have an aftermarket stainless exhaust on it, actually. Got, I believe they're MagnaFlow mufflers on them. Sounds pretty nice. True duals. Interior. Once again, original color combo. They did, again, have the seats recovered with the restoration. Hopefully the wind noise isn't too bad out here. New dash pad, carpet, obviously, door panels, headliner. But really nice little build on it. I'll get in on the driver's side here and show you a couple of the updates that have been done along the way or through the process. So under the hood, we'll get to that in a second, but it is a 4-speed, Muncie 4-speed. We went ahead and put the steering wheel on. It had the, I don't know what you want to call it, the 2-spoke, maybe it was a 3-spoke. But anyways, the body or interior color, just plain Jane base model wheel on it. So we opted for the SS wheel. Nice little upgrade. Dash is in awesome shape. We did put, actually, I don't remember. I think it was in here when we got it. It had the updated retro sound radio in it. We ended up putting this little sticker on the front of it to make it look like an old AM radio. Of course, it's starting to peel up over the years. This is kind of cool down here, and I really wish the old ones were still in it, but this little gauge cluster down here was in the car when we bought it. We had to replace the gauges since the old ones didn't work, but they were original old school Stewart Warner gauges. And what's hilarious is the oil pressure gauge on the old one still worked, and when you started it, you could see a really sharp black line where the needle sat at 0 because it had been parked out in the sun in California for all of its life. And the rest of it was just this really faded gray. But yeah, it had the original Stewart Warner gauges in it that the original owner put in back in probably the 60s or 70s, I would assume. Non-AC car. The one thing that I would personally like to do to it is, first of all, it's a manual steering car, manual steering box, and I don't know if it's the box itself that is worn out. It looks like a newer box, or if it's something in the linkage, but this thing is rock solid to try and turn. Now, before you guys get out there and tell me it's a manual steering car, you gotta grow up, you know, build some muscles. We have plenty of manual steering cars. This thing is not normal. In fact, last winter when we had the car back at our shop, I ended up throwing this thing up on a pair of jack stands and turned the wheel, and having no weight on the front wheels or anything, you should just be able to spin that wheel around with no problem. This actually still required a good amount of force to be able to turn that wheel. So like I said, whether there's something going on with the steering box or you know, linkage up there, something, we've got to look into that. But I would like to put power steering on this just because it's such a good cruiser. You know, that would just be one nice little thing to add on there. Now we will get you under the hood here and show you what we've got. Doors just close like a vault on this thing. And this is not a frame off restoration, so that's part of the thing. I always tell people, when you get a car that's been frame off restored, yeah, it's really, really nice, but you'll never get doors that close like that. Under the hood here, this may be a two-hander, so pardon my camera angle here. Oh, gotta lube the hinges up on this thing. Now, when we bought the car, we were told that the original 283 expired and that they had swapped in a 327, which is what we've always been told this is. And to make a really long, when I brought the car down here, this car had never given us a single problem in all the years that we've owned it. Not one. It was always just dead reliable, never a problem. And right before we brought it down here, the previous summer, it overheated pretty bad. And when we pulled the radiator out, it turns out somebody had mixed orange and green coolant together, which, if you guys don't know, that is not good. Those two coolants do not react well together. They basically turn to gel, and everything gelled up. So we pulled the radiator out, sent it out, got it cleaned, hot tanked, everything was pressure checked. We flushed out the block, the heater core, everything was completely flushed out. And I guess we drove it a few times in Toledo before I brought it down here, and everything was fine. Well, brought it down here, and all of a sudden starts overheating. And it only overheats when it is sitting. Whoops, turn the camera around. It only overheats when it's sitting, which is kind of weird. So driving down the road, she stays ice cold. As soon as it stops and you're just parked or you're at a red light, temperature starts climbing. So anyway, while I was going to check the timing, which ended up being way out of whack, I went down to put a socket on the balancer pulley to be able to spin the motor over, and found out there was no bolt in there. And if you guys know, the only small block Chevy, at least that I'm aware of, and I think any small block Chevy that doesn't have a bolt in the crank pulley, is a 283. So ended up running the numbers on the back of the block, and we do in fact have a 1965 283 small block. So whether this is the actual original engine to the car or not, I'm not sure. Obviously they didn't start putting the VIN in the engine stamping until 67. I think that was GM's year. No, 68? Might have been 68. But regardless, this does not have any VIN in the engine casting number, so there's no way to tell if it's original. but it has been at least cleaned up. No idea. I'm assuming it's been rebuilt. It seems like it's got a good amount of low-end torque in it, so I'm guessing maybe it has like an RV cam in it or something. But aluminum metal block intake, has the quadrajet on there. Other than that, pretty standard little build. It's got cast iron manifolds on it. Like I said, no power steering. Does have power brakes. Stock brass radiator in it, and does have a flex fan on it. So if you guys are going to talk to me about the cooling issue, I'm already ahead of you guys. Might be getting a stock style fan for it. I did look for a shroud. They don't make a shroud for a 65, so I ended up getting a 67 shroud, which is pretty similar, but I wrestled with it down here, and once again, I'm down in the middle of BFE, and I have no power tools really. I just have like a little basic mobile mechanics set with a bunch of ratchets and sockets and wrenches and stuff like that. So to try and make that shroud fit, I went to Lowe's and actually just got hacksaw blades, tried to trim some stuff out, couldn't make it work. The fan is just sitting too high up in the shroud, so that'll be something maybe we'll have to try and do once I get it back to Toledo. But in the meantime, God, why is this camera? I really hope this doesn't flip around while I'm talking. But in the meantime, I did get an electric pusher fan on here, which I never like electric pusher fans just because I say they kind of cover up a true problem, which is exactly what I did in this scenario. But this does, at least when you stop and the temperature starts climbing, you kick that fan on and it steadies out. So that at least kind of puts a band-aid over the problem we have. It is an old water pump on it. I've already checked to make sure, you know, that we got coolant flowing through the radiator. I even pulled out the thermostat, and that did help. A lot of people will tell you you always need a thermostat or else it'll run hot. That's not always true. It really depends on your application. This thing, for example, I pulled the thermostat out and cruising down the road, it runs consistently 20 degrees cooler. So thermostats, sometimes they're helpful, sometimes they're not. It is always good to have a thermostat to help it get up to engine temp, but in my case, with everything I got going on, it did not hurt me. But other than that, I think that's pretty much everything under the hood. Yeah, really not much else going on under here. Just a really nice, clean, little honest build. And along with the overheating problem, we have talked about potentially pulling that engine out, checking it over. There doesn't seem to be any coolant or oil mixing together, which is really good. So I don't think there's anything wrong with the engine itself. But, you know, that's probably going to be a possibility down the road with the issues that we've been having with it. So aside from that, I think that is pretty much everything on the El Camino. One other little cool tidbit is I still do run the original California black plate that came on the car. That is the same black plate that was on it in 1965 when he bought it. I do have the rear one, but obviously legally I run a Ohio plate on the back there, but that's the same plate that this car has always had on its front bumper its entire life. So I think that's pretty cool. But aside from that, that is the El Camino. So like I said, let me know if you guys have any other questions, or if there's any other cars that you want to see some videos on. I'd be more than happy to show you. But as for now, I think that's going to be it. Hope you guys enjoy. Be safe out there. Have a good one.